Hey, what's up? Today I wanted to talk and share my experience with iBrave.io for web hosting. And so, if you're considering iBrave.io or if you're looking for a web hosting provider, then this could be for you. And so, before we start, I just wanted to say that this video is not sponsored in any way. I'm not paid to make this video, and I was not asked to do it. And so I just want to make this video here because in my case, I create website and I value web hosting. And so it's quite an important thing for me. And so I simply wanted to share my experience. So let's go right in. All right, so first of all, what is iBrave.io? And iBrave.io is a web hosting provider, and it also provides cloud-based plans. And so the company here is based in the US. And basically, these kinds of services here is perfect if you're trying to host a website or if you're trying to host a blog, a database, or email accounts, and all sorts of things online. And so my history with web hosting is that in the last years, I mostly use Bluehost for my web hosting needs. And so over time, I just think that Bluehost became kind of bloated and kind of overpriced. And I think recently they changed their hosting plan here, their basic hosting plan. And so here it used to be one website and they recently changed to 10 websites. So that's a little bit better. But overall, I just think it's bloated and I think it's also overpriced. And so in my case, I wanted to find something simpler. I wanted to find something cheaper and also possibly something lifetime in order to eliminate my subscription here related to web hosting. And so I did a bunch of research and ultimately I found iBrave Cloud Web Hosting on Stack Social. And by the way, Stack Social is a website that promotes new and smaller companies and products, mostly related to techs and technology, and so that's something that you can look into. But here I found iBrave on Stack Social, and I just figured that it would be interesting to test it out. And so in January of 2024, I basically purchased the unlimited website lifetime deal with Stack Social for iBrave.io. And I've been using iBrave since then. So as of right now, as of today, we are in June. And so it's been pretty much like 5 or 6 months around this time. And so as of right now, I currently own 3 WordPress websites that I created myself and that I currently host on iBrave.io. And the first website is my own personal website here, thefrankring.com, and I just use this website to promote the things that I do and to share my own journey and to create my own blog or whatever. And so this is kind of my online personal space, if that makes sense. And so the second website that I have here is called Leave the Cook, and basically it's a website that I made in French here. It's a simple website to simply share some sort of recipes because my family kind of loves cooking, and so I figured that I would create a website with the recipe because it's easier to share and to save or whatever. And so I just created this website. It's in French. I don't really recommend it. And so ultimately it's some sort of cookbook that I did with a website. And then the third website here that I have is my own company. It's the website for my own company. And as of right now, I don't really need it. And so as of right now, it's quite very, very simple. But if I actually need to improve it at some point, then I might take the time to do it. So technically here I have these 3 websites here that I just showed, but with iBrave.io, technically I have an unlimited amount of websites that I can create because I basically purchased the unlimited plan here. So we'll see in the future if I need to create more website, but as of right now, those are my needs. And so the next thing that I wanted to talk about is the pros of using iBrave.io. And the first pro is that as of right now, iBrave supports more than 80 plus web apps that you can install using a one-click install. And so I think that's pretty interesting. In my case, I only use WordPress and everything related to WordPress or whatever. But if you're looking for something more specific, then you can probably look at the web apps that are supported and see if something is interesting for you. And so in my case, I use WordPress, but there's also Joomla, Drupal, Magento, OpenCart, and there's a bunch of things. So if you're looking for something specific, then you can look at the list and see if it's good for you. And so the second pro that I wanted to talk about is that it's unlimited everything. And so one of the attractive things that I found about iBrave is that they promote unlimited plans compared to, let's say, for example, Bluehost. And so the only thing that changes is that depending on the plan that you're choosing, like here the first plan here, you're kind of limited to one website, and then here this professional plan, you're limited to 10 websites. But this plan here, the most advanced plan here, is kind of everything unlimited, and so I just find that very interesting, and this is the one that I chose. And so, for example, you have unlimited website, you have unlimited subdomains, you have unlimited bandwidth, you have unlimited SSD storage, you have unlimited database, you have unlimited email address. And so I just think that overall it's very interesting, and I love the fact that there's absolutely no limitation, so you can do basically what you want. Another attractive thing that I find about iBrave is their lifetime access deals. And so here you can see that all these plans here are all one-time fee, one-time purchase with the lifetime access. And so in my case, I've been using WordPress for many years now, and so I have these three websites here, but I've been using and creating WordPress for actually many years, and I also worked as a web developer, and WordPress one of these things. And so I think that having a lifetime deal for me is quite a very interesting thing, because usually in the past I always subscribe to some sort of subscription like Bluehost, and so the fact that I can remove and eliminate that subscription, I just think it's really cool. So I can use this lifetime deal, and hopefully I get to use it for a lifetime. That being said, since this is a lifetime deal, we can't be really sure that iBrave will be alive over the longer term. And so companies can fail, and they can go bankrupt in any moment. And so you see, when you have these lifetime plans and lifetime deals, like the lifetime thing is never really assured. Another thing is that they could also change their current plans, and they could change their current terms to move it to a subscription-based model, and so that's something to keep in mind. And so if you're going to use iBrave here, I would recommend that you do some sort of backup with your website, just in case that they fail to deliver over time. Maybe they're going to close at some point. You never know these things, especially when it's a new company. Another thing to keep in mind is that since this is a lifetime deal, that also means that you have to pay a higher one-time fee instead of a smaller payments over time. So that's something to keep in mind. But in my case, since I'm using WordPress a lot and I'm using hosting a lot, I just think that it's very valuable to me. And so as of right now, I'm using iBrave for my web hosting. Now, the next pro that I wanted to talk about is that iBrave seems to be up to date with the technology and seems quite performant. And so it says here that all their servers are using SSD storage here, and that everything is optimized for speed and performance and security. And so as of right now, my websites are working pretty fine, and so I don't have any issues with my website so far. And so the only thing is that as of right now, I think that the latest technology is the thing called non-volatile memory express. And so it's quite even better than SSD, but as of right now, I think that these new technologies, these latest technologies, are pretty expensive, and so I still think that SSD is quite very good. Now, the next thing that I wanted to talk about are the pros to using HighBrave and kind of my bad experience so far with HighBrave. And so the first con that I wanted to talk about is slow customer service. And so if you're used to other services, for example, on Bluehost, you had access to some sort of chat here that you can literally message someone at any moment here. HighBrave don't have these sorts of things, and so if you're expecting some sort of fast chat, something like this here, HighBrave might not be exactly for you. Now, they still have the customer service, but it's just a little bit different and it's a little bit slower. And so instead of having a live chat, what you have here is that you can open tickets here, and by opening a tickets, the customer service will come back to you, and it's quite, I'm assuming it's quite similar to an email, but it's a ticket, and the customer will take some time to reply to your question or whatever. But from my experience, I had a few tickets here, and it can take a few hours or even a few days to simply have a reply. And so if you always go back and forth, it can take many days for you to actually have your problem solved. And so if you're going to use HighBrave, you kind of have to be patient with the customer service. But in my case, it's not that big of a deal because I'm quite familiar with web hosting, and so I know how these things works usually. And so yes, I had a few questions, but it's not that big of a deal for me. And I'm assuming that as of right now, HighBrave is still quite a new company here. So I'm assuming that over time, the company will probably evolve and they will probably grow, and maybe these things will get better over time. And the next con that I wanted to talk about is the control panel confusion. And so HighBrave kind of have two websites, if that makes sense. There's the website where they promote all their service and where you have all the account management. And then there's also the control panel where you have access to the control panel and everything related to your website. And so here it's much more technical. The control panel is much more technical, and here it's more related to the services and the account management. But I find it very confusing because it's very two separate websites, and from this account page, let's say, and so from this account website here, I find it very difficult to actually go to the control panel. And so it's just a lot of confusion here, because actually what I did is that I simply saved this cp.highbrave.io to have access to the control panel. And so since it's also two websites, the main website here use some sort of credentials. It has its own password, but also the control panel here from this website also use a different account and a different password. And so yes, I'm assuming that these accounts are connected, but I just think that it's confusing that it's so separated. It feels like it's two different services, if that makes sense. Now, the next con that I wanted to talk about is that it doesn't support Nextcloud as of right now. And so far, I only care about WordPress, and obviously WordPress is part of the supported apps that you can use. But slowly, I'm also getting interested with Nextcloud for my cloud storage needs, because as of right now, I'm currently trying to stay away from companies like Google and Microsoft. And so that basically includes Google Drive and Microsoft OneDrive. And so one alternative to these softwares is Nextcloud, which is free and open source. Now, understand that Nextcloud is much more complicated than a normal website, than a normal WordPress website. And because of the cloud feature, and also it requires more bandwidth and more storage or whatever. But the reason I want to talk about it is because since it says unlimited everything, I mean, I'm assuming that it would be great to have some sort of Nextcloud, and Nextcloud is also considered like a web app. And so technically it's a web app, but as of right now, it's not included in the software list. And so if I look at it, it doesn't find anything in Nextcloud here. So I'm trying to search for it. I mean, it finds WordPress, but it doesn't find Nextcloud, but we'll see in the future. So ultimately, what I would love to find at some point is I would love to find a web hosting provider that can basically host my WordPress websites and also my Nextcloud. And yes, I could find another service for my Nextcloud, but I would love to find a service where I can do everything in one place. And so here I'm using highbrave.io for my WordPress right now, but I'm assuming that at some point I might use something like librecloud.host. That is basically a Nextcloud hosting solution here. And so those are some plans that you can use if you're trying to host Nextcloud. And it has a bunch of cool spec that I found here. And so that's just a side note here, but I hope that at some point Highbrave would be able to support Nextcloud. Now, the next con that I want to talk about is that domains are not included. And so here, this is not something new, and this is not something bad, and this is not something that I hold against Highbrave. So far, I always had to purchase my own domain that I have to separate and purchase separately on. Usually, it's on a yearly basis that you have to purchase domains names. But I still count this as a con because even though I might never pay for web hosting ever again, well, I still have to consider domain names, and I still have to consider the fact that I have to purchase these things. And so from a customer perspective, domain registration is still an expense that I still have to think about. And so my point is that I think that it would be great if the domain registration and the domain names would also be included in the one-time lifetime access. And so you see, like, they promote this unlimited everything here, but domain names are not included. And so I hope that my domain names will be included in these unlimited plans or whatever, but maybe that's gonna happen. Who knows? So now the final con that I want to talk about is that yes, you can purchase and register domains on Highbrave, but privacy is not included within these packages. So the thing is that not only domains are not included in the lifetime deal here, but they also don't include privacy by default. And so if privacy for your domains is something important for you and for your domain registration, then you kind of have to pay an extra fee to pay for that privacy. And so personally, I love having privacy when I purchase domains, because if I don't, then that means that my personal information are going to be easily accessible to anybody that knows how these things work. And so because of that, I love having privacy. And so since I value privacy, what I do is that I actually use spaceship.com that also has free privacy for their domain. So privacy is literally included with the registration, and also the prices is also much cheaper as well. And so everything related to domains, I use Spaceship because it's a better deal, it's cheaper, and also because privacy is included. And so here, for example, I have the .com extension here that is the most common extension. And so here, by default, it is $12 or $13 a year, and privacy is included. And here, if I go on Highbrave for a .com extension, it's actually $17 USD. And since this is USD, it's also more expensive in Canadian dollars. So in Canadian dollars, it's probably $20. And and the privacy is not included. And so everything related to domain, I prefer using Spaceship. And so what I do is that I register my domains on Spaceship, and then I point my domain on highbrave.io. And so in conclusion, highbrave.io is a newer web hosting company that promotes good unlimited lifetime deals for your online needs, except maybe for the domain registration and maybe related to cloud services like Nextcloud. And so as of right now, I've been using it for my 3 websites for about 5 or 6 months now, and I've had a decent experience with them, and I will keep using highbrave.io for now. The only thing that worries me a little bit is that Highbrave kind of needs to survive on the longer term. And so because of that, as of right now, what I do is that I do backups of my websites once in a while, or when I do a big update or whatever, just in case that the company closes one day without any warning. And so if that happens one day, then I have my backups that I can fall back on. And also I'm looking for a Nextcloud hosting provider, and understand that Nextcloud is some sort of cloud service, and I use it as some sort of cloud storage. And so I understand that Nextcloud is still new, and it's also much more expensive to host. And so I hope that one day Highbrave will be able to support Nextcloud. And so I wouldn't mind paying another one-time fee for the Nextcloud hosting. And so I wouldn't mind. I would absolutely love that. And if it doesn't happen, then maybe I'm gonna find a subscription-based alternative. And I also know that right now LibreCloud.host is also a Nextcloud provider that I'm also looking into, and so we'll see how that goes. And so that's pretty much it for this video, and I hope that this video was helpful to you. And if this video was valuable to you, you could consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. And if you have any thoughts or comments, you can leave them below, because I will answer everything, and your thoughts and comments could also be valuable to other people. So that's pretty much it. Peace.